Yes, sir. We are talking about Scott Pilgrim, and my boy Scott gotta be at the very least top 5 Canadians all time. You're asking what that list is? Oh, it's Kenny Omega, Kenny Omega, Kenny Omega, Kenny Omega, Scott Pilgrim. Because we start the movie off and golly, man, we see 22-year-old Scott Pilgrim dating 17-year-old Knives Child. That's an aura deficit until he breaks up with Shorty. And that's a crazy way to start off a movie. How are we 60 seconds into this whole and we already revealed you're a pedophile?
It's like everybody know
Baba Booey.
in this room right now. If we really turned on there's somebody in this room. It's probably 3 niggas that's children.
Nah, we ain't doing that.
Hopefully
We
not.
ain't doing that.
But Scott takes Knives to the band that he's in. It's called Sex Bob On, and they are actually fire. I don't know if I could play any of their music. You probably hear it already if they let me do it. But we don't got white boys doing this no more. We don't need no more Ians, no more Jack Harlows, no more Machine Gun Kellys. Y'all peaked at Mac Miller, Eminem, and Paul Wall. I need y'all boys in the garage making Guitar Hero music. I need to hear some more classics from y'all like, my name is Jonas, and this is how I feel. Shout out Weezer. After that though, Scott takes Knives on a date. He goes back home, has a dream of Ramona Flowers. And this is a different level of thirsty. He ain't even seen Shorty yet. So on the next day, when Scott did take Knives to the library, he actually saw Ramona. And this fake facaded ass relationship with this 17-year-old high schooler gets thrown out the window. He dead ass did the Toy Story, I don't want to play with you anymore meme with a real ass person. I'm not gonna hold you. I understand. Brother man was so stunned like by Ramona, he accidentally time skipped into the future. He didn't even know what he was doing. Just wound up in this party. And Ramona so happens to also be in this party. So he starts looking for her, finds her, and golly. Nigga fumbled. He was already in an aura deficiency in the beginning of the movie. This shit draining by the second. But Ramona leaves because Scott's scaring the hoe's energies. Scared her ass away. So he starts asking everybody around the party about Ramona. And they start telling him all these types of stories. But Julie in particular starts frying my nigga Scott. Oof, another aura lost. The only way to get this hoe back would to be to pop Steven in the mouth one good time. I know Steven will be confused, but Scott's in the negatives right now. His pockets are black holes, twin. Scott found out though that Ramona works for Amazon, so he goes back home and decides to order something. But he's been getting signs from the universe, i.e. Scott and his sister telling him, hey, if you're gonna go after Ramona, might as well break up with your fake high school girlfriend. He don't do that. Instead, he goes to his email. He sees that he got a fight invitation from somebody named Matthew Patel. He ignores that to order something off of Amazon and waits by the door for that nigga to drop it off. I ain't ever seen nobody more thirsty a day in my life. Scott opened that door and it was just Knives, and I ain't never seen a nigga with more disgust in his face than I have seen Scott Pilgrim when he saw Knives. They go back to band practice. Scott opens this door and, you know, he just walked into this subspace for some reason. Yeah, we just got those in Canada, I guess. He saw and followed Ramona, and once he got close, he woke up just to open the door and Ramona's right there delivering the package. I ain't never seen nobody fiend for their yes for a date this bad. And fellas, no means no. Ramona said no like 18 times and Scott was still begging, damn near on his hands and knees. But they do agree to the date. To go back to Ramona's place, they make out. Scott then invites Ramona to this battle of the bands he's about to participate in. He gets her number and there's 7 X's on that hoe. And a smarter man than Scott Pilgrim would have been like, huh, why is there 7 X's on this hoe? Sex bombs over here playing their hearts out just for them to get interrupted by Matthew Patel crashing through the damn roof, announcing he's running the fade with that boy Scotty Pilgrim. Little dude got his punch blocked and hit square in his forehead. Matthew comes running at Scott. He just gets hit with this spinning kick to the face. Launched his little goofy ass up in the air, so Scott followed his ass up there, hit him with an uppercut, and proceeded to get a 64 hit combo off on his top. Got everybody in disbelief. They didn't know that Twink had hands. I'm sorry though, if I was mad and I got my ass beat like this before the fight even actually started, man, I'd have to go home. This is like in wrestling when niggas get hit with chairs before the match starts. Nah, I'm at a disadvantage. You just took half my health. Matthew explains that he was Ramona's first evil ex-boyfriend and they start throwing them things. They actually squabbling something nasty. The choreography is fire. And Scott would have known this if he didn't skim through that email. But they continue to throw them shits until Matthew gets a 2-piece off on Scott's dome. They get back to throwing them bitches until Scott has this boy hog-tied, got his arms crossed and everything. As we get a Ramona backstory about how these two actually started dating, we skimming through that. Long story short, Lil Bro got mystical powers. Matthew starts a dance cue and levitating and shooting fire and summoning demons and shit. How he got all this and he was just losing 30 seconds ago? Done shot fireballs at my dog Scotty. Over here trying to switch my man down. But his aim is god awful. Scott was standing in one place and not nary a fireball hit him. One of them fireballs broke the drum set. Scott picked up the cymbal and threw that hole right at Matthew Patel's forehead. Stun locked the piss out of bro. And Scotty hit him with this mean ass right. Knocked this little goofy ass out and turned him into coins. Scott collected all of Matt's coins and all he costed was $2.40. Imagine dying and your worth is $2.40. Now that Scott and Ramona's on the bus, if we're going to date, you're going to have to defeat my 7 evil exes. And if I was Scott hearing that, I would have been like, 7 evil what? Man. So now Scott and Ramona are officially dating. Wallace tells Scott to break up with Knives. He does, and he was sad for all of 2 seconds until he remembered his fine with Ramona, and I ain't never seen nobody cheesing this hard ever before. He done even ditched practice just to go on a date with Ramona, and that date led them to this movie site where they were filming a movie. The main lead there, Lucas Lee, surprise, surprise, is one of Ramona's evil exes. And that boy Lucas had everybody Schmuckledorf, thought he was acting the whole time he was talking to Scott. Pulled up on Scott, hit him with 2 straight to the noggin, grabbed him by the legs and chunked him into that castle set piece they have over there. Scott got back up just to get punched back over to where Ramona was. I forgot to mention, Scott made an oral recovery when he dumped Knives and started dating Ramona, but now it's going back into the negatives with this performance. When that boy Scott got up, he was pressing the hell out of Lucas Lee just for him to turn around and it's that nigga stunt double. And that stunt double done rocked the piss out of Scott. Just for every single one of Lucas Lee's stunt doubles to pull up, I'm crying. Look at the niggas on the far right and left. Who are y'all fooling? Scott finna get jumped out of his mind and Wallace pulls up like, ask him how it feels to get his sloppy seconds. Scott gets cracked upside the head with a skateboard. Scott then blocks 2 of the stunt doubles, knocks them both away. Scott starts getting feasted upon, knocks the dude away from him on the far right. Blocked and disarmed another stunt double of his skateboard and started beating niggas' asses with it. They started doing Scott a little dirty, but he recovered. Got these nasty ass kicks and throat punches off on dudes. He got cracked in the back with his skateboard, so he hit him with a back fist, Eddie Kingston style. Took his skateboard and smashed the dude right behind him with it, just for one of the stunt doubles to get back up. And golly, pause. Look at this form. You don't got a single reason to be this mad at a nigga for. All these stunt doubles think they moving like Darby Allin. You're not like that. My goat got cracked upside the head with that skateboard and they started stomping this nigga out like he was in JoJo's. And while Scott's getting stomped out in the background, the actual Lucas Lee is walking away like the fight's over. He turns around and Scott done laid out each and every single one of them. So him and Lucas run at each other. They jump and Lucas got this mean ass Super Sentai ass kickoff on Scott's chest. Now that Scott's getting his ass beat, he starts rage baiting the hell out of Lucas, having him do a grind off this shitty ass flight of stairs, and he does it. Explodes and dies though, but he did it. Scott won, but Ramona bailed. Scott goes back home. He gets a call from Envy. Everything in his life is ass right now, and this is probably my favorite part of the movie ever.
Is Scott here?
You know what? He just left.
After Scott ducked Knives, he got pulled up on by another evil ex, punched her in the boob, and she dipped. Just to pull up on his sister's coffee shop, he sees Ramona, but also Envy. As Envy's group asked Sex Bob-omb to open for them, right after Scott just announced to no longer think of Envy Adams. Everybody in this universe is just adept at rage baiting, cause what the hell? After Sex Bob-omb performs for Envy's group, he see Todd, Envy's new boyfriend, and surprise, surprise, he's one of Ramona's evil exes. And my whole thing is, Ramona American, why all these niggas come to Canada? But this song Clash of the Demon Head is playing, it's fire. I can't even hold you. Envy invites all of them backstage. Knives is over here geeking out and she says, I've kissed the lips that kissed you. And chat, that nigga Todd punched the highlights out of Knives' hair. That's a jumpable offense, nigga. What? She's 17. Everybody backstage should just be stomping him out right now. Scott tried to sleep, little bro, but nigga got the force because he's vegan somehow. Started choking the piss out of my dog, threw his ass out the building. Todd done force launched Scott into the air. Had a whole conversation just to watch that boy Scott fall on some more trash. Once Scott got back up, he ran at Todd just for him to get launched right back into the venue. But Scott picked up his guitar and started strumming. So that boy Todd pulled up with his too. We not having a boss battle no more. It's a bass battle. And Scott loses. Got his ass sent through 47 walls. But this whole did remind me, of the Tom Morello boss battle in Guitar Hero 3. Them Johns was fire. Just for Scott to hand that man coffee with half and half. Todd knew that he was getting duped, so he thought he took the cup with soy. But nah, he really took the cup with half and half. And the vegan police came up, snatched that nigga powers away, and Scott Pilgrim headbutted little bro into some coins. The whole squad goes to this after party as Scott and Ramona is yapping, and Scott gets pulled up on by that ninja shorty he punching a boob earlier. I mean, she snuck the piss out of dude. Nigga just got done fighting Todd 10 minutes ago. Can I get a little bit of a breather? Scott got back up just to almost eat a roundhouse to the jaw, but Ramona caught the kick, so now it's her versus Roxy. Ramona just had a comically large hammer in her pocket, and these girls is really throwing them things. Ramona with her big ass hammer and Roxy with her blade whip. Roxy disarmed Ramona of her hammer as she turned around just to eat an axe kick to her dome skis. I mean, golly. And that would have knocked her ass out if Scott was the one that did it. So Ramona starts puppeteering that boy Scott to fight Roxy. Ramona over here has Scott slapping the dog piss out of Roxy back to back to back. But Roxy is getting sick of the double team, so she popped up right in between Ramona and Scott and uppercut the piss out of Scott in the chest. I mean, had his back hit the ceiling. But Scott was finna lose to Roxy till Ramona said, poke her in the back of the knee. He did, and she burst into coins. So it said, alright, deuces, and they split up. But Scott's problems do not end here, because the next band Sex Bob-omb has to battle in the Battle of the Bands little tournament they doing are the Katiyanagi twins, and surprise surprise, they're also Ramona's evil exes. But Ramona's in the crowd too, and she's talking to Gideon, and I can't take little bro seriously. Nigga just looks like Markiplier. Sex Bob-omb and the Katiyanagi twins have like a Susanoo kaiju battle, and Sex Bob-omb wins. And again, the music was fire. Scott also then gets a one-up. Scott goes and tries to talk to Ramona, but she said, alright, we gotta break up officially. Gideon got a hold on me. Shorty basically said he's slinging that peener. But Gideon says, I'm not a bad guy, and then immediately tries to put the Sex Bob-ombs in a 360 deal. As Scott's the only nigga of the Sex Bob-ombs that did not sign the soloist to this 360 deal. I mean, goddamn, fine shit left him, friends left him. Scott went home after all that happened, and then also saw some random dudes cocking balls. Yeah, man, if I'm Scott, take me off the map. A triple whammy of bullshittery is crazy. Just for him to get hit with another stick of Gideon calling him, just being patronizing, all on the phone, telling him to come to this new Chaos Theater he just opened up. Wallace heard this whole conversation on the other phone and was like, hey, I'm not gonna lie to you, Scotty. You gotta go beat that nigga ass, twin. Scott pulls up on the new Chaos Theater, gets through both the passwords, pulls up on Gideon, and pronounces the fade. All cause he's in love with Ramona, and after he says that, he gets a sword pulled out of his chest. I've seen this gimmick somewhere before. Probably lost half of my subscribers by outing myself as a Genshin player. Gideon calls out his goons on Scott, but that boy Scott goes to town on them boys. I mean, that twink moving tough as hell. I don't know what I'd do if I got cut down and I got turned into a silhouette of coins at my demise. But after Scott went through them, Gideon pulled out his blade. Him and Scott clashed, but Scott lost that clash, broke his sword too. Just for Knives to pull out, and she wants to run the fade with Ramona. So them girls start boxing, and then so do Scott and Gideon. They also start boxing until Scott hits Gideon with this nasty Hurricane Rana. I mean, good God, I need some wrestler to do this to a nigga. Bandito, brother, do you hear me? This needs to be in your bag yesterday. But Scott stopped Knives and Ramona from fighting, and then he realized, damn, maybe I was the asshole all along, just for that boy Gideon to backdoor Scott. That boy Scott deader than a bitch. But Ramona pops up and tells Scott her entire backstory with Gideon. Gideon has a chip in the back of Ramona's head that basically has her under his lock and key. Ramona also drops this last nugget of info. She says, maybe I'm not the one you should be fighting for. And that one-up he got earlier, he uses it. It takes him back in time to when he first started gearing up to go to the Chaos Theater. And this time, instead of giving these niggas the passwords, he just starts beating ass. So he gets back to the Chaos Theater, tries to right all of his wrong, goes up to Gideon again, and Gideon is like, you want to fight me for her? But this time Scott says, I want to fight you for me. This nigga got some self-respect in this bitch. Yes, sir. Gideon sends the goons again, but we skip through that hoe faster. Him and Gideon clash swords again, but this time Gideon's the one that loses. Knives pulls up again this time, actually kicks the piss out of Ramona. Scott rights his wrong with Knives too. Gideon gets back up, pulls out this blue sword, and him and Scott start boxing. But he kind of doing Scott crazy. Doing all this with one hand behind your back. Yeah, Scott might be going back in the aura deficit. They over here boxing up this pyramid. Scott gets hit and he was about to get cooked, but Knives saved his ass. Even got a hit off on Gideon, made that goof ass nigga swallow his gum. And again, I cannot take Gideon seriously. He looks just like Markiplier, bro. Like, is he finna play Five Nights at Freddy's or box me? Knives and Scott start tag teaming Gideon though, just for Scott to get this slash off on Gideon, and that pissed bro off. So he broke Scott's sword in that next slash. So Ramona pulls up to Markiplier and kicks little nigga in the balls. He backhanded the piss out of Shorty though, just to start kicking the piss out of Big Mona. Scott Knives was right behind Gideon. He turns around and he knows he's cooked. They finna beat his ass. That they do. They put the pots and pans on this nigga. They low-key doing this nigga worse than Yuji and Nanami did Mojito. I mean, look at this combo. Scott grabbed Markiplier by his tie, flung his ass at Knives. She caught little bro by the legs, kicked him in the face, having his body flip in the air, landing him on his knees so Scott could kick his head off and pause. Look at this wind up, nigga. Wound that kick up so hard, I'm surprised they didn't do a Full Metal Alchemist bumper card in between the kicks. But Markiplier got turned into change just like the rest of them. Scott got one more op to fight though, and that's Nigga Scott. No, I didn't say Nigga Scott. They didn't fight though, they just talked it out. And him and Ramona, you know what I'm saying, they try again. And that's the end of the movie. Scott Pilgrim was fired. This movie is definitely one of them ones. But if y'all want me to do something else, a comic book movie adapted into live action that also came out around the same time, I don't know, something like Kick Ass, then I definitely got y'all. Just let me know. But the moral of the story today is, don't be fake. Be the genuine you all the time. And if you don't like you, then work on yourself so you can like yourself. But with that being said, if you liked, like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna leave all my socials and my Discord down in the description below. I'm out of here. Bye.